Term Nerd,
AV Club,
where today we are going to be reviewing a brand new movie that just came out.
Pet Sematary, 2019.
So, I'm going to let you start off with this one because I'm not a big fan of scary movies, but you definitely are. So
I dragged him to see it. So,
oh wait, before you go, spoiler warning. If you've not seen this movie, we're
going to be digging up a lot of spoilers. So yeah, if you have not seen this movie,
and you care about spoilers,
don't watch. We won't take offense to it.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this movie. I do have a couple of gripes about the movie, I guess. There's a few things that we'll get into that I was just not a fan of. I don't think it's because, I have nostalgia for the original or for the book. But first, let's get into the characters. You've seen the movie. You know bits and pieces of the original storyline.
Yeah, I've seen the original movie. So I thought the characters in the new one were fine. I wish they would have used the little boy a little bit more, though, because I just feel like he was just... They put him in there just because they had to. He lives in, 3 scenes, and... that was about it.
And we'll get into this part as well. I agree with that, because I feel like with the ending being the way that it was, you don't really have that emotional attachment to have the ending hit you in the gut like I think it was supposed to.
Yeah.
But characters. Favorite character. Mine was definitely Rachel Creed. The main character's wife, the mother of the children. I thought that she did a phenomenal job. Amy Simons, who was also in Alien Covenant, just phenomenal. Go girl.
I think probably Judd for me. You can't go wrong with John Lithgow.
That's true.
He does, no matter what role he's in, he's really good. So, and I thought he did a really good job in this movie.
He did do a really good job. I do feel like he was another one that was underutilized. If you've read the book and if you've seen the original Mary Lambert film. Judd for me will always be the original film. He did a phenomenal job. He talks the way that the character was written in the book, and there is a huge arc of his character in the novel where he becomes really good friends with Louis Creed, and he's really close to Ellie. Because in the novel, and this will be one of the spoilers, in the new film, Ellie Creed is actually the one who dies. And Gage does not. And in the book, because she stays alive, her and Judd are actually really, really close. And I feel like in the film, they forced it a little bit. She went over to a guy's house, and then in the new movie, she just met to deliver him cookies, and her mom allowed her to.
And just walked in. Yeah, that was a little weird, where it's hi, strange man that I just met in the woods in a pet cemetery. Can I bring you cookies later? That was a little, but I did appreciate their relationship, but I do feel like they did force it a little bit, because he was just this is the first time, anybody's touched my heart, and it was just okay, that's
You've had 5 scenes together.
Yeah, that was a little creepy. But, okay, so speaking of the Ellie Gage switch, how did you feel about that?
I was okay with it. To a certain degree. I went into it knowing, because of the marketing campaign for this film, they spoiled it, and at first I was really against that. I had even told you multiple times, if you're going to do such a huge switch, Pet Sematary is an iconic film, and if you're a fan of Stephen King, it's even more iconic work of literature, so you know the story, you know that Gage dies, you know that he comes back. Really, the only survivor in the original film is Ellie Creed, so I think the switch was really cool and it changed things up, but I didn't like the fact that they spoiled it, because I would have been more shocked had I went to the theater, and there's even a moment when you think Gage is about to get hit, and then Lewis is able to grab him, then Ellie takes the hit from the semi.
I think is really the only reason why they left the little boy in there is for that, look what we were going to do, but we didn't. That was...
Well, the film producers and the directors said that the reason they switched it was because there's a lot of adult content in the novel that they wanted to carry over as far as, once the child is reanimated. There's a whole thing about the Wendigo and knowing things that they shouldn't know, especially when they come back. And they thought it would be better for Ellie being older to handle those scenes better. And
yeah, I definitely get the change, but I do think it would have been more impactful if they had that little 2-year-old.
Oh, 100% agree.
You know, doing all that stuff, and like it didn't have to have him actually. Like they, you know, with technology nowadays, like you could have, you know, digitally like had him say stuff. Like, so I think it would have been more. I understand why they made the change, but I don't know. The way they also like had her be a zombie.
I didn't. Yeah,
I wasn't thrilled with Ellie as a zombie.
People have been raving about like, oh my god, she made the movie. I don't really think she did. She was great.
She was fine.
She handled a lot of like adult content, but to me, she was just another creepy little girl. And
Yeah.
a lot of the filmmakers going into it were like, you know, oh, it's creepier to have a little girl doing it. No, that has been done to death with The Ring.
Yeah.
Technically, even like the Conjuring universe, like all that stuff has been done recently. It would be nice to go back and have a toddler doing it.
Yeah, I think it would have been, you know, creepy. It would have been terrifying to see this little like 2-year-old saying the things that he was supposed to be saying, and they toned it down a lot. Like when they say like, you know, they wanted her to be able to handle more adult content. Did she really even do that much adult content? I don't even really think, because the only thing that she really said that would be considered adult is that your wife is burning in hell.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing that I would say that I think, I guess, you know, slicing Jed's heel open. But, you know, verbally, like, that's really the only thing.
He ran to her scalpel.
He ran to her scalpel 9 times.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about the ending. So, the novel ends with everybody dead. Like, everybody dies, and Lewis takes his wife, who Gage killed, to the Pet Sematary because in his mind, still not able to handle grief, he thinks that if he just buries her faster, there'll be a different result this time because he waited too long with Gage. So he goes, he buries her, and then the novel ends with the epilogue where he literally is sitting in his kitchen playing solitaire, and the back door opens. You hear footsteps, a cold hand grabs his shoulder and says, "Darling," and it says that the voice sounded like it was muffled with a mouthful of dirt. You do not know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if she was evil. I choose to think that she was good, because, like, that book is dark, so, like, I need a happy ending.
Well,
the movie, the original one, this one right here, ends with her coming in, same ending, but this time you see her grab a knife, and as they're kissing, really gross fucking kiss.
I was gonna say, you're leaving out an important detail where she's literally like pus is like
coming out of her eye,
face.
and he's just like, he's going in there, like you see his tongue in her mouth, like he's for it. Homeboy is like definitely there for like the necrophilia. And then she stabs him, and so you know that it ended on a really bad note.
This movie did not have that same ending. So the way it ends is the little girl kills the wife. And, like, literally, like, the dad runs up and... Lewis? Is that his name? Lewis. He runs up and she's like, "Don't bury me in Pet Sematary." And next thing you know, like, Ellie comes and, like, you know, bashes his head in with a wooden chair, so he gets knocked out, and then you see her dragging the wife. And then Lewis wakes up and he's running. He's like, "Oh crap," and he's running, and he ends up in the Pet Sematary where he has this big confrontation with Ellie. And he's about to, like, end it because he's like, you know, obviously she's evil. And right before he's about to do the final blow, you know, Rachel comes back and stabs him with a rebar. And
then the movie basically ends with Gage in the car, which is where Lewis put him to keep him safe, and he looks out the window, and the entire family, Ellie, Lewis, Rachel, all reanimated now, and Church,
the cat,
on the hood of the car, come up, and previously in the film, Lewis told him, "Do not open this door for anybody. That's not me." And he comes up and knocks on the window, and you hear the car door unlock, and that's where the film ends.
So I guess they're just going to live as one big zombie family, maybe.
Maybe.
We don't know.
There's talks of a prequel, but they said they're not really sure if they could follow this up with a sequel. So...
Do we want to?
No, but I mean, it'd be nice to see, make sure that, you know, Gage didn't die. Okay, so, favorite scene. Did you have any favorite scenes?
Yeah, okay, so probably my favorite scene was when, like, which I think is probably yours, because I remember you saying something, is when, like, they're the cat's back, and he was like, I know he was dead, and she looks at him and she's like, good thing you weren't a fucking vet.
Yeah,
like,
Rachel
that was
in this film
really
is like
funny.
so like.
I thought that was really funny.
That is one of my favorite scenes, but it's not my favorite scene.
Okay.
I do like the fact that like the little girl's in the bed and she's like, no, my cat's over there in the closet, and like when they find him, she just like backhand compliments him, or backhand, where she's just like, thank God you're not a fucking vet. But my favorite scene is actually, just because the acting I think is phenomenal, it gave me chills, is whenever Rachel, she feels like something's wrong. Gage was freaking out, and he kept saying Pascal, which is a name that he should not have even known. So she rushes home, and Ellie comes down the hallway, and this is the first time that she's seen her daughter since she's been reanimated. And the actress just like, you felt like she was this girl's mother, and that was her actual daughter who had died and came back. Like, she's crying, she's hyperventilating. The little girl hugs her, and she like just doesn't know how to react. And like Lewis is there, and he's like, hug your daughter. And she eventually like pushes her off, grabs Gage, and runs upstairs. And to me, that like,
which I didn't like when he was like, hug her. Like,
I'm like, wasn't she just dead? Like, we fucking buried her. Anyway, so that was probably my favorite scene. I just thought, it was in the trailer, you can find it on YouTube, like, it is just a really great scene. So for me, I guess if I'm going to rate it, I definitely would give it 4 to 5 nerd specs.
I mean, you're more kind than I'm going to give it 3. Like, but also, I'm not a big fan of scary movies. This one, I don't feel like, because the ending wasn't good, and it's just, that's a big thing for me. Like, you know, if you're going to, like, you know, tell a story, you need to make sure the ending is good. So that's why I'm going to give it a couple of points down. Like, I thought it was very well done. It was a pretty movie, but, like, because the ending I don't feel like was very satisfying, like, I'm only going to give it 3 out of 5.
I give it 4 to 5. Like, I think it's great. I don't think it's a waste of money. Like, if you're a fan of the Stephen King, or even if you're just curious about it, and this is your first, you know, venture into King territory, I think it's great. I definitely recommend reading the book, though. The book is better. This is in, like, my top 20 list of remakes and horror movies, but it definitely did not surpass the original. Like, if you want to get the full effect without reading the book, go watch the original. Like, the original is better. The ending is more satisfying, and besides some of the acting not aging very well, like, I think the movie itself it still holds up to this day.
Yeah, cool.
So that was our review on Pet Sematary.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.